Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me live tonight as I talk about one of my favorite subjects. As a pelvic floor physical therapist by trade, and now combining that with my love for functional medicine, I'm able to see how these two things intertwine and how they impact your life as a woman, and how this cascade of events that happen over time can actually impact your ability to approach parenting your family with grace and patience, and can impact your outlook and your gratitude, and can impact your health and your hormones. And so I just want to give you guys basic underlying root cause tips that could literally transform your life as a woman. And this message isn't just for women, it's for men too. So don't tune out if you're listening to this as a man, because this might be impacting you as well. So, sleep, we know, is one of the most precious gifts that God has given us to rejuvenate our minds and our bodies. This is when we heal. We know that each person should get, if you're an adult, 7 to 9 solid hours of sleep every night. However, many women and men that I talk to are not getting that. And not because of any other reason except that their bladder is waking them up and interrupting those coveted hours of sleep. Raise your hand if that's you. As a women's health therapist, I'm going to make a blanket statement here that unless you are in your 80s and had multiple children, you should not be waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. Yes. If you are in your 80s and you have had multiple children, then I would allow you one time to wake up in the middle of the night. One time is acceptable, no more. So, that may have blown your mind, because every person you know is waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And it's just a common problem, but a problem that I would say isn't normal. So, if you shouldn't be waking up, then why are you? Why are you waking up? There are numerous possibilities. The first one, drinking too much liquid before bed, is a common possibility, especially if it's alcohol or caffeinated beverages. That's going to cause frequent urination during the night. They are bladder irritants. There are a whole host of other bladder irritants that are out there, food and drink. I will never forget the one day that I realized that one of my patients, when we figured it out, she could not eat pineapple before she went to bed. That was the thing that irritated her bladder, that citrusy food that also has some other enzymes in it that could irritate the bladder. She could not eat that, or it would wake her up in the middle of the night. So I encourage you to Google some bladder irritants. I will put a list in the comments so that you can look through it and then start making some connections with that. But definitely alcohol and caffeine are out before bed. Another reason that you could be waking is aging. As people age, the muscles weaken. It reduces the bladder's ability to hold urine for long periods of time, and that can cause increased urination. But like I said, unless you are up in age, you really shouldn't be doing that in your 40s or your 50s. If you are exercising regularly and you have a healthy lifestyle, those muscles shouldn't weaken to the point where you do have to wake multiple times during the night just because of age. Another reason you could be waking are urinary tract infections. This could cause a frequent urge to urinate, but hopefully those are few and far between. And if you have those frequently, then you need to take a step back to more of a root cause of why am I getting urinary tract infections so frequently? And you need to fix that problem so your bladder doesn't wake you up at night, so it doesn't steal your sleep. Men, this is for you. Enlarged prostate glands can obstruct the flow of urine and cause the need to urinate more often, especially at night. So, if you can decrease your inflammation, you can try to decrease your oxidative stress, get that enlarged prostate to chill out, then you could also have a nice, quiet night of sleep. People with diabetes may experience increased urination due to the body's inability to properly process glucose, leading to a higher level of glucose in the urine, which is a bladder irritant. Certain medications like diuretics can increase urine production and lead to more frequent urination. Even sleep apnea can lead to more frequent urination because it causes those brief pauses in breathing during sleep, and it can, because of that, you can start to get signals from your brain to your bladder that will tell you you need to go to the bathroom. This one is earth-shattering, so if you don't hear anything else, gut dysbiosis or a poor gut microbiome can impact your brain body bladder connection and make you wake up more in the middle of the night. If you have food sensitivities, if you're at an unhealthy weight, you experience constipation, all of those are signs that the gut is struggling. And it could be a structural thing, like you're putting more pressure on your bladder at night because of the weight or the constipation. Or it could be that because of the processes happening in your gut, you're not able to facilitate the making of sleep hormones that are made in the gut, the sleep hormones that help you stay asleep. So if you're struggling with waking and then you wake and you're like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, it could be more of a gut dysbiosis problem, a gut microbiome imbalance. So, all these things could be waking you up, but you could be training yourself to keep doing it. Like a dog or child, the bladder is one of the easiest things for us to train. It can be trained in a good way, and it could be trained in a negative way if it persists. So that's why this is so important. It's not completely out of our control, and our brains are super, super powerful, just machines. So let me tell you about the bladder first, and I'm going to tell you how it's connected to the brain, because I think this is completely fascinating. It's going to change your life. The bladder is a muscular organ. It's part of the urinary system. Its primary function is to store urine produced by the kidneys until it's ready to eliminate it from the body. That's what the bladder does. It is located right behind your pubic bone in that abdominal cavity, and when it is full, it sends signals to the brain that trigger the urge to urinate. So it responds to stretch and pressure from the urine being filled in the bladder. And when that happens, it sends a signal up to the brain to says, hey, it's time. Then the brain sends a signal back down the spinal cord to the pelvic floor to relax the sphincter and allow the release of urine. It's a two-way street. And that's why this is so amazing, because you're going to see what happens. So we're going to pretend like this is our brain up here. We've got our spinal cord. Our brain is what controls all the nerves. And then we have our pelvis here. And inside the pelvis, we have our bladder. When the bladder is full, it's going to stretch and send us signals up to the brain where we get a bright idea. It's time to go to the bathroom. And then the brain sends a signal back down. The sphincters release. The bladder is that muscular organ. It squeezes, and we release the urine. So, two-way street. Here's what happens, and what is so interesting is that when we get up, when we're sleeping at night, our brain shouldn't be getting the signal that it's time. A lot of times what will happen is when we wake, we might sit up or stand up. That signals pressure on the bladder, and when we move in that position, we'll signal it's time to get up. That might be a precipitating factor that sends the signal. Then when we stand up and we get up, that further emphasizes the need to go to the bathroom. So then we walk to the bathroom. We walk to the bathroom and we sit down on the toilet, and our brain's like, oh yeah, we did need to go. So then we sit down, it releases the sphincter, and then we urinate. Okay? No harm, right? We just went to the bathroom. However, your bladder wasn't actually full when you did that. Your bladder may have only been full to about there when it got the signal. So your brain's like, well, we did go to the bathroom at that time. So you do that repetitively for various reasons. Maybe you have back pain, maybe the dog barked, whatever the reason, you're getting up. And the brain next time will send you a signal at an earlier stage. So the next time that the bladder's full, only to here, it's going to send a signal to the brain to say it's time to go to the bathroom. You get up out of your bed, you go sit down on the toilet, and you release the urine. The brain's like, we did need to go. We did go to the bathroom. So next time 2 a.m. rolls around, it's like, well, now the bladder's only this full. It sends that pressure stretch response up to the brain that says it's time to go to the bathroom. Then it sends the signal back down to relax. You go stand up, you go sit down in the toilet, and you go to the bathroom. So what you see is that you're training your brain to get up in the middle of the night more and more frequently because your brain and your bladder are responding to a lesser stimuli. So you don't have to have as much urine down here for your brain to understand that it needs to go to the bathroom. Then you actually confirm that you need to go to the bathroom by standing up, going, sitting down, relaxing the sphincter, and letting out the urine. So the signal's messed up, but then the actual process confirms that you needed to go. So every time that you go to the bathroom when you don't really need to, or in the middle of the night, you're training your brain that you actually needed to go a little more frequently. So before you know it, you're going to go to the bathroom at midnight, at 1 a.m., at 3 a.m., and it's going to continue down that path, interrupting your precious sleep. You'll also notice that this happens during the day. Then, during the day, you become fearful because you're scared to go anywhere because you might have to go to the bathroom. And if there's not a bathroom close, then there's going to be a huge problem. So the fear drives into this sympathetic state where our brains become on overdrive. The fear actually precipitates that signal, and we have to go to the bathroom more often. Then we go just in case. So if we're like, okay, we're not sure if we're gonna have a bathroom, I'm really nervous about this, I'm gonna go before I leave the house, I'm gonna go before I go to the doctor's office, I'm gonna go before I go on a walk, because I don't know if I'm gonna be close to a bathroom and it makes me really nervous to not be able to. So every time you go without the urge, you're training your brain to go to the bathroom more frequently. And I know you guys are being like, oh, that's me. I just in case pee, or I go to the bathroom anytime because I'm nervous that I'm going to have leakage, or I'm nervous I'm not going to be around a bathroom. All right, so we've identified the problem, that there is a brain, bladder, nervous system dysfunction that's happening, and we are reinforcing that behavior by going to the bathroom so frequently. Now, what do you do about it? Okay, you can do this. The first thing that you need to do is to down-regulate your nervous system. And what I mean by that is you have to get rid of the sympathetic drive. You have to be like, you know what? It's okay. What is the worst thing that's going to happen? What is the worst thing that's going to happen? You could pee your pants, bring an extra pair of clothes. You may not be able to find a bathroom when you need one. Nobody's going to die, right? So in that circumstance, you have to breathe and down-regulate your system. Breathing and relaxing your system actually is one of the key things to making sure that you aren't urinating super frequently, because you're not feeding into that sympathetic overdrive. So we're going to try to calm down. That's the first thing. The second thing is we're going to get rid of just in case peeing during the day. So we're not going to go to the bathroom just in case before we leave the house, or just in case the church service. We're going to go when our body tells us we need to go. And it's going to be about 5 to 7 times a day as a normal frequency. If you're going more than that, like if you map out your day, and this is the morning and this is the evening, and you're going 12 times a day, you might need to reassess, what are some things that possibly could be irritating my bladder in there? Is it stress? Is it food that I'm eating? Is it caffeine? And try to decrease those amounts that you're going to the bathroom during the day by eliminating just in case peeing. So the third thing you want to do is you want to assess your diet and make sure that you are not ingesting a lot of those irritants. That's going to be key, especially before bed. And then the fourth thing you want to do is you want to try to retrain your brain not to wake up at night. The first way you do that is that when your brain wakes you up at night and tells you need to go to the bathroom, and you know that you've eliminated all the bladder irritants, and you know that you have eliminated any just in case peeing, and you know that you have a more normal frequency during the day, you know this isn't a real call. This is a fake call that your brain has made because it's used to doing it. Our brains like to do what's easy, what they're used to doing. So what you can do is, first, when you wake up, don't sit up. Don't stand up. Don't give it the pressure stimuli from the movement. You lay there in bed and you do deep diaphragmatic breathing. So what I mean by that is you're inhaling and exhaling at the ribs, trying to open the ribs. That diaphragmatic breathing is going to engage the pelvic floor reflexively. Then you try to go back to sleep. If that doesn't work, you're going to do 10 quick contractions of your pelvic floor. Contractions like that, like a Kegel, 10 quick contractions, that's the opposite of what your brain is trying to tell your bladder to do with the relaxation. So you're sending signals up to your brain that say, no, it's not time. It is not time to go right now. Then you try to go back to sleep. That's the key thing. Don't give in and reinforce the habit by getting up, standing up, going to the bathroom, relaxing your pelvic floor. And what you will notice is it's not a light switch, okay? It's just like with a child who you're potty training. It takes time and intention, and it will change because your brain learns so quickly. So as you do that over time, you will not have as many waking episodes at night, and you will get the coveted amount of sleep that you need. And when you are sleeping through the night, that is when your body has the ability to heal. That is when your gut has the ability to heal. That is when your brain has the ability to heal. And it is so important that whatever is disrupting your sleep, like your bladder, needs to be fixed and needs to be eliminated so that your sleep is optimal, so that you can have optimal health. So, as much of a little thing as this seems, you can see how now it's more of a big thing in the grand scheme of things. When you miss your sleep, you're missing precious moments that truly contribute to your health and truly contribute to your patience with your children and truly contribute to how much frustration you feel in your ability to have self-control, just like anybody else. So I hope that you learned something today and that this will encourage you to think more about your bladder habits and how they could be possibly impacting your the underlying health issues that you may have, and hopefully give you some food for thought for moving forward with your health. Thank you guys for joining me tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful Monday. Thanks.